women understand this. Rejection is God's protection. Don't feel bad. Feel bad for the preferences. Pray for the preferences. They're out here catching hell. Last year, I did a video on the whole Jennie Mai Jeezy situation when they had just announced that they were getting a divorce, or should I say, when Jeezy had blindsided Jeannie with the announcement that they were getting a divorce. And ever since they made this announcement, things have gotten progressively worse. And now we are at a place where Jeannie is accusing Jeezy of physical and verbal abuse. And then, of course, Jeezy responded with his own accusations of Jeannie doing the exact same thing to him. They're both painting themselves as victims. And we basically have two camps of people who believe Jeannie and people who believe Jeezy. Where do I fall on this? Well, I don't really know who's telling the truth. I tend to lean more towards believing Jeannie simply because she has witnesses as she is presenting in her paperwork. Whereas with Jeezy, I didn't see any part where he mentions that there's other people who have witnessed her abuse towards him. In general, the whole situation is really messy, and I don't want to dwell into the salaciousness of the reports. I am bringing this to bring a very important message, a message that I have been drumming up for quite a while on my channel. And if you'd like to hear more from me, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see the kinds of things that I talk about. If you have been watching my channel, you know that I have been hitting really hard on this thing of gender roles, traditional gender roles, that the woman should always be the submissive one who acquiesces to her husband's decisions, his needs, his desires, and that the husband should always be the leader, he should always be the provider, and he should always be the one who makes all the decisions, the important decisions in the marriage. These are themes that we have been covering a lot on the internet, particularly in this era where you have modern women who are trying to resist against traditional gender roles and traditional dynamics in relationships between men and women. And you also have the rise of what is called the red pill, which are the men who believe that modern women are destroying society and that the reason why everything is going to hell, it seems, is because women don't want to fall back into their role as submissive, as obedient to their men. And if you remember in my last Jeezy and Jeannie video, I focused on what Jeannie had said. I'm gonna have a hard time with these two names. But the thing that she had said, she announced on her show, was that when she became Mrs. Jenkins, Jeezy's wife, that she was going to allow him to be the head of the household, that she was going to submit to his authority, and that's how she wanted to have a family life, because she believed that that is the best way to have a family. But the reason why I harp so hardly against gender roles and traditional gender roles is that life is more complex than that. Are there women out there who can play the role of the perfect submissive wife and be happy doing so? I am sure those women are out there. But the idea that that is the only way that a marriage can work out, that is not true. Did Jeannie present herself as a submissive woman to Jeezy? Because if you know anything about Jeannie, she has never really given out that personality. She was a co-host for the talk show The Real for a really long time. She's also a very hard-working TV personality and a social media influencer. She's hosted a lot of events. So for somebody like Jeezy who's getting to know her, when he's coming into her life and he's seeing all these different characteristics about her, did he really think he was getting that submissive little wife? Or did he see her drive and found that attractive about her? Did he see her as a reflection of himself, a hustler who's going to do whatever she needs to do to get to the top? It is very difficult for a woman who has those characteristics to then decide to do a 180 and turn into a little housewife and a submissive, obedient wife. I don't know how you would make that switch and why you would even want to. Perhaps she saw Jeezy as this ultra masculine man who was very protective of her. I remember one of the earlier moments when they were dating and she was still on the show, that she was drawn to tears when she was describing to her co-host how moved she was that he offered to take her to the airport one day when she was leaving town. She had been spending time with him and she was leaving town, and he said, of course I'm going to take you to the airport. I'm not going to let you take an Uber. And she thought that was the most amazing thing, that nobody had ever shown her that type of protection and accommodation. And maybe seeing this man, who was, according to her, the complete opposite of her ex-husband, made her think, oh, he's very different from my ex-husband, so I'm going to be a very different type of wife this time around. But is that what happened? Apparently not. Even if you're to believe her, just going by what you saw, the fact that she still maintained her home in Los Angeles while Jeezy was mostly stationed in his home in Atlanta, the fact that she wanted to continue to stay in LA where she had more business opportunities, that tells you that that drive and that hustler's mentality, it never really left her. That was never really her nature. And I just don't think that when a woman realizes that that is not her nature, and she tries to fight against her nature to try to become this stereotype, this character that has been uplifted by society, that's just not going to work. And if anything, it might create internal frustration. It might create a sense of anger and a sense of, why do I have to be the one to do this when that's not working for us? I don't know, I have this feeling like this video is going all over the place. Like I have a message, but I'm just not finding quite the right words to use. There is no one size fits all in nature, in society, amongst people. We're all very different. And we have been led to believe that the general character of a woman is to follow behind a man. And I've done videos explaining why in the past it would appear that way. In the past, where women were not allowed, they didn't have the opportunity to provide for themselves in a way that was accepted by society, women really had to attach themselves to a man for their survival. And now that those days are over, now that women can provide for themselves and we don't need to attach ourselves to a man for survival, it opens up the opportunity for us to explore the different parts of our personalities that maybe we had to suppress in the past because there was no room for that. In today's society, where women have the opportunity of taking on leadership positions, being a woman with leadership characteristics is actually a good thing. And we need to just come and accept that. Because women have proven themselves to be very capable in positions of leadership. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong. I even used that example in another video, where the truth is, a woman can be a captain and a man can be her lieutenant. And there is nothing shameful or out of order with that. Because if the woman was born with the characteristics that makes her a good, ideal leader, why wouldn't we allow her women to bless society with those gifts? Why would a woman who has the ability to be a great CEO suppress that so that she can be the ideal housewife? Now, I need to make this very clear. Being a housewife is a wonderful choice, if in fact it is your choice. If you don't feel pressured into that role, any role for that matter, nobody should be forced to take on a role that is contrary to their nature. That is the point I'm making here. And the problem with society is that it continues to try to brainwash women into letting us believe that there's only one way to do it right, to be a woman in the correct order, and that is to be a submissive wife at home. There's nothing wrong with that if that is what you want to do with your life. But if you don't want to do that with your life, if you have a different set of gifts, then use those gifts. That's the point I'm trying to make. A lot about society has changed, and we have learned to accept that. But there's certain pockets, there's certain areas of life that we're not willing to let go of how things used to be. We have to let them go, because to pretend that we're still in the past is only going to cause a lot of distress, strife, and problems between men and women. Instead of fighting who we really are on the inside, just find your lane. And once you're in your lane, you will find your mate. You will find that person that thinks that your personality is perfect for them. And finally, the last thing I want to say about this is the fact that I remember when Jeannie and Jeezy got together, and then she made this announcement that she was going to be the ultimate submissive wife. Modern women, particularly Black women, got slandered by a lot of men online saying, see, this is why Black men don't want to deal with Black women anymore, because y'all are so, you're too difficult to deal with, you're too aggressive, and you're too domineering, and that's why we go to these other women. Look how soft they are, look how submissive they are. And yeah, a lot of Black women were shamed for this. And number one, I think as Black women, we need to get to the point where we stop listening to these men, because what they're doing is they're trying to agitate us. They're trying to get a reaction. They're trying to shame us so that we will beat ourselves down so small that we'll be small enough for them to stick us in their pocket and carry us around. That's what they really want to do. That foolishness, it doesn't make any sense. If a man wants to go out there and explore and date people of other races, I encourage that. I encourage women to do the same. I believe that people should be, instead of trying to swim in a little pond, trying to find somebody and kind of make herself into the size of what the fish in that tank want, jump into the ocean and find the fish that like you. Women, Black women especially, I encourage that. And secondly, when you hear them talking like that, when you hear them talking about how they reject us, Black women understand this. This is a very famous saying. Rejection is God's protection. Don't feel bad. Feel bad for the preferences. Pray for the preferences. They're out here catching hell. So just hone into your gifts, flourish in your talents, find your lane, and you will find your mate. Okay? That was my little video. Maybe I'll have to do another one to explain better what I was trying to say, but I hope that you were able to understand the gist of what I was saying. We don't wish evil on anybody. We want everybody to be happy. That is the whole purpose of my videos, to take these sad situations and find the lesson in them so that you and I can benefit and learn from these situations without having to find ourselves in them. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to hear more from me, please subscribe to my channel. Please leave a like if you like it. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Also share it in your other social media platforms, because that would help to spread the message and help my channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.